There are so many people available to you who can be resources to you.
It's a much larger group, so you get a lot more information.
As a voluntary, not-for-profit initiative.
Your needs and meet them by finding the right place in the right environment.
Thank you too. Thanks very much. So that was a very quick coverage of a wide range of options and opportunities. We come to the last presenters and then we will invite them all to grace the stage and you will have questions that you might direct. Some very specific areas I can think of from the previous speakers. And now we have an academic as well as a professional who's been in the medical field for a long time. Professor Arjuna Aluwihare. He's a surgeon and has served his people well over a number of years. And within the realm of academia, he's been Vice Chancellor of the university, he's Chairman of the University Grants Commission some years ago, and also Chairman of the Board of Study in Surgery at the Postgraduate Institute of Medicine in Colombo, and he's also served as the head of the National Academy of Sciences of Sri Lanka in his capacity as president, and bears several prestigious fellowships from Sri Lanka and overseas, and has written widely. As a matter of interest, he's contributed to the Oxford textbook of surgery as well. And for all of his life's work, he's been recognized with a titular honor, Vidya Jyoti, or Vidya Jyoti. Professor Arjuna Aluwihare, who we now invite to the lectern. Thank you.
Don? Thank you very much for that introduction. What is more important is that yesterday I was watching whales off the coast of South Africa, which is much nicer than being here today. And my daughter has just survived jumping off the top of Table Mountain. And I just got a text to confirm that. So I'm in a good frame of mind. Now, about learning English, before I get going, I must tell you what I tell our medical students. That is to buy the Sunday Times, sit under a tree, read it aloud to the tree, and with an English dictionary, look up every word that one does not understand. And with the mobile phone, record the reading. And if a person does that for a month, with great respect, they might even pass the IELTS exam without going to the British Council. But do that sort of odd thing. Now, no man is an island. Wasn't it? Is that Dunn who said that? And I want to put you into context. Quite a lot of this stuff you're going to have to read. This is the context of Sri Lanka and the world. Oh, it hasn't gone now. Ah, yes. Now, this context, you can call it variation or a lack of equity. The left-hand two pictures, the top is a nice ferry in Bangladesh, The bottom is the ferry on which I crossed the Ganges one night and fortunately could not see the holes in the ship. On the right-hand side, we have a Sri Lankan ferry at the top, and below that, a very posh Norwegian ferry, which happened to go upside down a few years ago, whereas the other three were okay. Read that. There's quite a lot of this stuff you have to read. I can't be bothered to read it out. A few years ago, in Britain, the majority of medical students were from social classes 1 and 2. Here, they are spread almost equally amongst all the social classes. And one of the problems of the competition for the limited university places here is that every able child is competing for the place almost regardless of their financial background. That you can read. This is all the serious stuff. Is there a demand for university places? And has been very excellently pointed out in the previous few speeches, there are so many offshore things that one can do, and incidentally there are Sri Lankan offshore degrees also. Many years ago when I was in the UGC, a parent came in with his child. The child had got admitted for physical sciences to Runa. So the parent wanted me to shift the child to Colombo. They thought the UGC chairman had power to do that sort of thing. So in the course of conversation, it turned out the parent had a garage, a car repairing garage. So I said, look, instead of your son going to do physical sciences, why doesn't he do engineering? He didn't have enough marks. So I said, okay, fine. Show me the result. Go and do the Open University engineering degree and work in your father's workshop while doing that. And you'll be glad to know they did it. And a few years later, they both came, the son a qualified engineer now running the father's garage. So there are so many out-of-the-box things that one can do in Sri Lanka, and so many things that one can do in the other countries in the world, as has been so excellently pointed out. Now, sentence number 2 is political. There is corruption and all sorts of things all over the world. And in Sri Lanka, we are close enough to what's happening to see what is happening. In other countries, we aren't. Equally, there are so many good things going on in so many different countries, so many ways of observing and not observing order, whether human dignity is valued. And I'm suggesting these things to you because if you are going to be educated members of the public, you have to look outside your discipline. And the youth in Sri Lanka, as is evidenced by the youth in the north and east and the 2 JVP insurrections, are also capable of looking outside their own disciplines. So all of us have to make sure that we don't have that kind of nonsense and violence again. Now, if you are going to go abroad or even in this country to university, it's a huge sacrifice on the family. You do not have to have the latest mobile phone because the next idiot has one. And you have to look at doing part-time work. There is not, now I changed the regulations for full-time university students in this country to be able to work. And again, once the universities restarted after the last JP insurrection, I can remember a boy coming and asking me to contact my uncle, who was cousin, who was at that time Minister of Posts, to get him a job at the Peradeniya post office. He was doing part-time job near his home, so that when he came back to university, when the universities reopened, he could deliver letters to his fellow students. He was not too proud to do that. I'm glad to say I refused to contact my uncle, who was a cousin rather, Alec, who was a politician, so non-contactable as far as I'm concerned. But I telephoned the Peradeniya postmaster. who said, fine, send him tomorrow. So you have got to be prepared, wherever you go to study, to understand that you have to help to fulfill your parents' and family ambitions, but also defray the sacrifice they are making. And they will never tell you that they are making a sacrifice. You can read that. Third quotation is from a Nigerian surgeon. He said, you know, my hospital has no electricity, but I have a lot of patients and a lot of job satisfaction because I treat a lot of people. But you have to understand this problem, and you have to understand that the economic north sometimes not any of the countries represented here, we hope, uses this as a method of getting the best from our countries outside, certainly in medicine. Read that. If you haven't read it yet, you need to read the Sunday Times. Now this is very interesting. If you take the China and India now, there is a reverse brain drain of the Chinese and the Indians who are all over the place coming back because their systems have improved. And in a way, Charita Junior is an example of reverse brain drain. MIT, who do the software for how many stock exchanges now? 50. I don't know, who've recently been bought by the London Stock Exchange. Some of them are an example of a reverse brain drain. There's a chap who's doing stuff for a blind person to be able to handle a mobile phone. The CIC Wonder Bulb is a bit of a reverse brain drain example. I think the bulb which has got nanocarbon emission, when it lights up and destroys germs and smells in the vicinity, so there are enough examples of that. Now, when you go to these different places and think about it, look at the last sentence. The parent will never admit to missing you. But they will wake up every morning and think, how is my child? You have to remember, as I said, the sacrifice they make. You have to remember the cost of coming and going, not only as a backup for family illness. I can remember, they didn't tell you, I went to Cambridge. Cambridge is a small suburban university 55 miles northeast of London, which London is in England. This first time I came back on vacation, I thought Sri Lanka had become a terrible place. The second time I came back on vacation, nothing had happened to Sri Lanka. So I realized that my reaction the first time I came back was because my viewpoint has changed, not because Sri Lanka had changed. So the cost of being able to come and go so that you can adjust with your different viewpoint is an important factor. Now, if you are good, now I was going to say, is Charita good or not? Because, you know why I'm not sure. He should not have distributed chocolates. He should have given my telephone number if he's distributing chocolates. He should have distributed bananas. So therefore, I don't know whether Charita is good or not. But part-time job, very important. My son graduated from a British university and he got an IT job just after that. She's showing me a big placard which I can't read, although it says your time is nearly up. Okay, I'll speed up. He got a job, then later he wanted to know why he got a job. And they said, because you had done the same part-time job for 3.5 years while at university, you have a discipline. You come back and create and adapt. Stay away and maintain contact. Set up networks. Go from place to place, one city to another, working in both. Mix with others. Do extracurricular stuff, those days playing the cello and so on. Now, adaptations that I have done, just very quickly. This is surgical training stuff. This costs several £1,000s. Here we got it done for like 10, 15 rupees. A laparoscopic thing which one of my colleagues did, 1,500 rupees, done in another country, it would be like 15,000 pounds. A Nigerian, same Nigerian, operating table built for $1,500, which would have cost $150,000, and so on and so on. Now you'll have to allow me the extra few minutes. I was supposed to talk about myself. My mother had been to Cambridge, father to Oxford. That was the time of SWRE, Deriniagala, where the people went, did what they had to do, and came back. Now, did they serve the country, or did the country serve them? You know, all of you, if you go to a university abroad and you don't come back, Sri Lanka will manage quite well. Thank you very much. You may not manage quite well. So my family had that kind of background and so on. The young girl is my sister. But sorry, you can't say which is the young one. I mean the one on the left. Other one is mother. So we have grandparents, parents, children, grandchildren, relatives and friends, and there are some risks of studying abroad. Now again, the other country people worried, and say in my case even, I had school friends. When I went to Cambridge and the London hospital, lost contact with them. Came back to Sri Lanka, lost contact with the Cambridge and London hospital friends. So, you know, these things are risks. And while you study, is to look after all this lot and yourself also if possible. It's certainly not to look after yourself only. This is my father, bottom row in a team at Jesus College, Oxford. This is the photograph of my mother competing in the ladies singles, and unfortunately she won, and my father fell in love with her and various things like that. Come and go a few times. This is my Cambridge College, and I have always maintained, now you know people say that I have achieved a lot and a whole lot of rubbish, but the country could have managed without me. What about us? 3 kids are here. They've all done courses here and abroad, by the way. I was determined to return. I topped my batch, but I came back. 3 children are in this country. 1 is away. Very good, sir. Many hats over the years. Huge volume of work. Now, if we did not have the volume of work, we couldn't have developed new things. So what I'm saying is even Cambridge, in Cambridge and London Hospital, we didn't do normal things. We did all sorts of odd things and different things so that we were able to adapt when we came back. So you have to think on your own, as Charita emphasized. Now adapting, dealing with 2 JVP insurrections, when I returned as a very highly qualified postgraduate, I was acting UMO and designed slimming wheels. Now, nobody here is overweight. Here, I've almost finished, by the way. Nobody here is overweight, but a slimming wheel is a thing. I haven't got the wheel, but you knelt down and you did this and went forwards and backwards with the wheel. Now my wife and I designed these and sold these because we had to survive with the 2 kids at that time. Then car repairs. We got railway sleepers and cut them in half so that we could put the car on that and do all the repairs of the car from underneath that. Playing on the beach with the kids is free. We had cattle at home in Kandy, and this is the daughter who jumped off Table Mountain yesterday, riding one of the calves. And we survived without private practice on the cows and vegetables for 7 years in Kandy with 4 kids. So you have to adapt. And if you're good and you're going to go to university abroad or in this country, you have to be prepared to do different things to survive when you're there, look after your family from wherever you are, and survive afterwards. Thank you.